Hey, what's up? This is Mario from China, and I live here in China, and I have a business. And I want to start sharing a little bit of my day, what I do as a business owner here in China, and we'll share a little bit about my day. I'm trying to make this useful for people who maybe want to live in China and come here and maybe answer some questions about what life is really like in here and what you can expect. I live in Shenzhen, which is a the tier one city, and it's one of the most expensive cities, perhaps. I'm at a Starbucks right here, and Starbucks, I think, is pretty much everywhere. It's the same price. It's obviously compared to like living in other places. Um, Shenzhen's still cheap. I got my coffee. One sec. I got a flat white. I want to start doing something like lives from China, where I just go to a place and I do a live stream, and not exactly know what to do because I'm almost 40 years old. I'm not gonna do pranks, stuff like that. I can do street interviews. I've done street interviews in the past, and I enjoy that. Although my Chinese is not so good, so I need to look for people who can speak English. Also, it's a little bit more culturally balanced if I do interviews in English, I believe. Generally, people who in China who speak English, they have traveled abroad or they have had a better education, and they're a bit more open to talk about different things. I say generally, okay, because I've been here for 10 years, and I met all kinds of people. You meet people who only speak Chinese, but they're super intelligent and stuff like that, and they work in really high positions. And but those are rare. And I met a girl one time that worked in a nuclear plant. That was kind of awesome. Uh, so yeah, China is pretty good in terms of like what you can do in here. You can create a good social life, but you need to put a lot of effort into it. It's not as easy as a social life, say in a city like Bangkok, where there's more expats and more events are going on all the time. Events are more accessible, things like Meetup. In China, things are much less accessible, especially when you don't speak the language. When they first get here, everything is kind of like outside of your reach because everything's in Chinese. You probably need a Chinese person for most of the things you're doing. Things that are difficult here is like going to the bank, getting a Chinese SIM card on the China Mobile or China Telecom. That is a nightmare. Or like when you have a problem with those things, getting the thing is not difficult. You just need a passport and just boom, you get it. But if you want to do things like changing the plan or like how much you pay on the one thing, God forbid you take your SIM card in one city and then you move to another city and you want to keep that thing, you can, it works. But then the moment it comes where you need to like change the plan, for example, China doesn't accept that you use your passport for those changes. So the only solution is that you go back to the city. Make that make sense? Okay, so like I first came here, I was in the city called Dongguan, which is not far from here, but it's a train away. It's like 70 yuan on the train, and it's 2 hours to get there. So and 4 hours if you're going back, So if I want to change, like I lose my SIM card, say for example, I need to go back there to get it back. I cannot get it back here, even though it's the same company, it's the same province, it's a different city, but the same province. And yeah, you cannot do that because you don't have a Chinese ID. The Chinese ID is basically your gateway here to do a lot of things. And foreigners are restricted from a lot of things because we don't have Chinese ID. And to be fair, I think it's good that it is that way. I think it should be that way. It's just how it is. And I'm at the beginning you may perhaps you complain about it, but after you stay here for a while, you're like, oh, I get it. There's like 0.1% of us and the rest is them. So why would they change the whole system just to accommodate a few foreigners? It makes no sense. So I like the idea that some hotels reject you and you cannot legally stay there. I met a girl once in a foreigner who has this like business and teaches you how to basically not break the law, but like force the policeman to grant you access to these hotels. So the way it's set up here is that naturally you can't stay on every single hotel in China. If it's an international hotel, the most expensive the hotel usually have no problem. But if you want to stay in a cheap hotel, or if you're traveling abroad, let's say in the north of China specifically, there's a lot of hotels that you cannot stay in. Okay, and these are cheaper alternatives, and they require you to have a Chinese ID. Now, legally, technically speaking, you can. You can stay there with your passport. You can, as in, yes, you can. But the staff in there doesn't know that because the law changed sometime in the 2000s or something. Not only the staff doesn't know that, it's a law that even if they know about it, don't want to apply it because they might still get in trouble as staff, and the manager might still get in trouble as a manager, and the hotel business might still get in trouble as a hotel business because a lot of these people have access, um, have how do you say this? They have links to, for example, the firefighters department, and the firefighting departments can put a ban on this hotel. They can ban the hotel for having done something like getting foreigners. And it's not that they're going to say like, "Oh, this hotel brought in foreigners. Let's ban this hotel." It's more like, "Oh, this hotel doesn't have, has some fire violations. Let's ban them." You know, and in reality it was the other reason, but they find a reason because fire violations are so easy to like account for. Basically you see a paper on the floor and they're like a fire violation. Anything counts as a fire violation. So the fire department can actually damage the hotel. So I think that's one of the reasons also why hotels they want to steer away from this, because they are afraid of like the local government or the firefighter department issuing some type of violation, and then they get in trouble. So it's not like they hate foreigners or they don't want to welcome foreigners on their hotels. It's more complicated than that. And to be fair, man, it's like at the beginning I was like, "Achoo, I want to stay on this hotel, so I want to stay here. Why can't I?" And I also managed to actually stay in some of these hotels because sometimes it's just the problem of them not knowing that they can enter your passport information into their system. They can. The system is updated enough that they can do it. They don't think they can, but they can. And again, they probably, a lot of people have never seen a foreigner here. Still today, 2026, people have not seen a foreigner in China. So those things, they don't really bother me anymore. Like if I go to a hotel and they say you cannot stay here, I'm not gonna fight it anymore. Um, Unless I really want to stay there. But um, yeah. The other thing is, yeah, that we make a lot more money than the local people, of course, foreigners. Technically, always, not always, but like sometimes, generally speaking, the majority of the people here, let's say 90%, 98% of the population in China, they don't make more than what the foreigners do. That's that number is probably not right, but it's probably 80. But you get to meet a lot of people who make a lot more money than you, Chinese people, and either they make it or they inherit it. A lot of the time, mostly is they inherit it. But if that disparity exists on the level of income, then naturally the government is gonna subsidize or like want to help people who don't have access to a higher income. So like therefore, more expensive hotel for more foreigners makes sense. That's just my view on it. So this girl that has this company, she gets on a fight, she puts on a show. She basically learned Chinese just for this. Nah, she learned Chinese. She's really good at Chinese, but she puts on a show everywhere she goes because she knows the law. It's kind of one of those videos where the cop is asking you for the ID, and the people doesn't want to give the ID because it's like they know the law and they know they don't have to, etc. And like they fight with them, and yeah, it's difficult to avoid any kind of confrontation here because the police are kind of strict here in a way that they really don't need to be sometimes. So sometimes you get into, and I'm saying the police, but it's more like the security guards and stuff like that. Yeah, they can get on your nerves sometimes by just doing simple things. Anyway, that's not much about doing business or the life in here, but it's just some rants. And yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do some more videos that are helping people to understand what the landscape of China here is. Anyway, that's it, Mario. Until next time.